Well, hi, I'm the Rifter, and welcome to another edition of What Should I Watch Tonight? Well, before I get into that, remember, if you are watching this, click subscribe. Don't click like yet. I want to make sure you actually like the video. But subscribe always helps. And share it. And I know you're all probably thinking to yourself, well, what should I watch tonight, the Rifter? Well, this is a very old movie, and it's a hard to watch movie. It doesn't make it bad. It's just it's a war movie, and I'm not sure how most of you feel about war movies. I'm not the hugest fan of certain war movies. A lot of them get it wrong. Like they just, I don't know. You just have to take my word for I know what I'm talking about in my own head. So what have I got for you to watch tonight? And it's a hard movie to watch, and it's a hard movie to find. So just be prepared for that. This is a Japanese film. I believe it's Ghibli, the studio that released it. Ghibli Studios. Ghibli. Pretty sure it's Ghibli. But this is a movie about close to the end of World War II. And it's animated. So, and I know before most of you tune out, you're like, I'm not watching a cartoon tonight. Well, it's a very different kind of cartoon if you've never seen this movie. So, why should you watch Grave of the Fireflies? It's an old movie that was released in 1988. It's not going to be easy to find. It's in Japanese. You can find English subbed and English dubbed. I think the English subbed version is much better. And you're probably asking, why should I watch this movie instead of all the other more realistic war movies out there? Despite the fact that this is an animated movie, the graphic images are not what I was expecting from a cartoon. I first watched this movie when I was in high school. I didn't know what I was watching, actually, and I saw the original English subtitle version. And as far as tragedy goes, this is probably the saddest movie I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of movies, and a lot of sad movies. There are many papers, studies, reports, statistics on atomic bombs being dropped on Japan. You seldom hear about the firebombing attacks on Japan. And over the course of 48 hours, 2,000 tons of incendiary bombs were dropped on Japan. Now just let that sink in for a second. 2,000 tons. The bomb dropped on Hiroshima killed 66,000, like the atomic bomb killed 66,000 people. And the one on Nagasaki killed 39,000 people. Now the firebombing attacks, there were between 80,000 and 135,000 deaths. And it's the single worst firebombing in history. I think the movie does a great job in portraying the devastation and sense of hopelessness in wartime. Now, while I realize war is not always avoidable and not always the people's choice, this is a very well portrayed movie. And also keep in mind this is based on a true story. And I say based on a true story because for the most part, it actually follows the story. I mean, it's pretty factual. There's a few slight things that were changed. And, I mean, I say slight, but they were big things, but they're, in the grand scheme, they were little things. And here's the synopsis from IMDb, but it's a young boy and his little sister struggle to survive in Japan during World War II. That's as simple as it can get for you. This next section, there are going to be some spoilers. So, if you haven't watched it, don't listen to this part yet. Now, I saw this when I was in high school, and basically you've got Sita, who is a 14-year-old boy, and that is one of the main characters, but I'm trying to think of how to go about describing this. There's Sita, the 14-year-old boy, and then there's Setsuko, his 4-year-old, not daughter, sister, his 4-year-old sister. And the movie starts out, I'm not going to tell you how the movie starts or ends, but basically when you get into the main part of the main story, you've got Sita trying to get Setsuko on his back to get her away from the city because the air raid sirens are going off and the Americans are firebombing the city. So they get out of the city and get away from the majority of the danger, but they don't realize that their mom hasn't gotten out. And forgive me, it's been several years since I've seen this. I mean, a long time. But I just thought about this movie today. I don't know why. It's good. It's good. You need to watch it. Anyway, Sita's mom dies, and he moves Setsuko in with their aunt. And their aunt, she's kind of a B word because she keeps giving Sita crap. She's like, you're not doing enough for the war effort. You should be out there fighting, blah, blah, blah. Trying to, make him pack his bags and go on a guilt trip every second of every day. And he finally gets sick of it, He's like, well, I'm just going to leave. So he takes his sister, Setsuko, with him, and they decide to live in an abandoned bomb shelter. Well, just think about being 14 years old, no job, no way to make a living. Now, he did work, I believe he worked in a steel factory, and then it was destroyed. And he was going to school. Now, keep in mind, this is a kid that came from well-off circumstances. I mean, his family, they were not poor. They were pretty well off. But his dad, I believe, died in the Navy, and his mom died in the fire bombings. So he's the sole provider for his 4-year-old sister. And that was a time when there was food scarcity and, not a lot of people were willing to give because they didn't have it either. I'm sure there was some social commentary built into it where social duty, like I used to know more about the Japanese culture, but they've gone, and not all of them, but the newer generation has gone from one who really gives back to the community to not as much. Now, I'm not saying that people don't give back to the community over there. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like anywhere else. Times change and things change. But this was based on a true story from the writer Akiyuki Nosaka. Akiyuki Nosaka. That was the writer's name. And this was based off of his real life experience and what he went through. And now this is the big spoiler. I'm going to tell you that his little sister doesn't make it, and her death, when he was interviewed about it, like years and years later, after he wrote a semi-autobiographical book about it, which is called Grave of Fireflies. But he said that in this film, the death of his sister was exactly how it was portrayed on screen. And this semi-autobiographical book was actually written as an apology to his sister, his adopted sister. But just let that sink in if you watch this. And it's pretty brutal. I would challenge anyone to have dry eyes by the end of this movie. I mean, unless you're just a soulless person. You know, I'm pretty soulless, but it's hard to watch again. But you need to watch it. You really do. It's such a good movie. It's really hard to explain. And I know on most of these things I just say, you just gotta watch it. You just gotta watch it. Just trust me. Anyway, remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you have seen this movie and you liked it, leave some comments down below. If you haven't watched it, go watch it and tell me if you liked it or you didn't like it or whatever. I know there's probably some regulars who are going to call me a communist because this is probably this is a pretty sure this was a propaganda movie too against U.S. forces, but I don't care. It's such a good movie. There's a lot of movies like that that are good. But again, I'm the Rifter. Thank you for watching as always. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye. And by the way, that's my son curled up on the couch with me and got chocolate on my sleeve because he was eating a piece of chocolate. Anyway, bye.
Bye.